essentially, I mean, we'll come back and do the introduction at the end. Essentially, to do whatever's available now would be impossible to compare that to a real closing, because you don't have a real final settlement of all the consideration in exchange for the ownership.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on now is really the Wild West. I mean, you really have to have a good relationship between your buyer and seller to say, yeah, transfer, 500,000 Bitcoin into my account and we'll go to closing.
Okay, but that flies in the face of traditional conveyance, because there should be no relationship. It's an arm's length transaction. So there should be, ideally, when I was closing transactions in Connecticut, people never saw each other. And there's really no longer, after COVID, for sellers to sit at a table. Everything can be pre-executed. So if you think, what you're describing is so completely far afield from, what's useful today.
Yeah. And really, when I got brought into Terramint, it was okay, we have the future, right? We have a tokenization platform. We really have a real estate into the crypto world platform, right? Real estate on the blockchain. We have a platform now that anything to do with real estate, to transact, to buy, sell, and invest with cryptocurrency, or to take your cryptocurrency and exchange it into US dollars, right? Worldwide. That's really what Terramint is. So starting out as a tokenization platform, with my knowledge is all real estate, right? So I've only been really understanding blockchain knowledge, tokenization knowledge, crypto world knowledge for the last year or so. So me being brought into this was to say, okay, how do we traditionally do real estate now? Well, you can't just jump into the future, right? Especially when we're talking about a real asset. I mean, this you can touch it, feel it, live in it, make money off of it. This is a real asset. And we have real rules and real guidelines on how we exchange.
So let me ask you, so might this eliminate the need for refinancing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, through the tokenization process, absolutely.
So in any kind of lending model, they use a loan to value. Could tokenization create more fractional ownership than the value of the premises?
Yeah. And really that's a lot of the big investors and a lot of the pioneers of the future are seeing that even my generation and younger are wanting more of that fractional ownership. They're wanting to be more free. It's not so much buy a house and live in it for 50 years, which that's been a thing in the past for quite a while now. But to be able to tokenize real estate and to transfer ownership, you're simply exchanging a token, because all of the ownership documents are on the blockchain or in the smart contracts. You're just selling the token. But we have to get real estate.
It's really akin to a security. So if this was Sears, your house is like Sears. You have an ownership in the value of Sears, or Microsoft or Amazon. So really, your residence. It makes me think that traditional refinancing is so antiquated, because it's based only on the value and only in the current ownership. Now it kind of spreads out the opportunity to gain from that. So what happens when, let's say a property is tokenized? What happens if mom and pop kettles sell to a new family?
Yeah, so through the tokenization process, you're exchanging your ownership into an LLC or some sort of corporation. And when you sell that property, you're exchanging the corporation as well. That way it doesn't disrupt anything with the tokenization. We've even seen smart contracts where they do a buyback, a token buyback, but that really disrupts the flow of ownership and investment. If somebody knows that they're tokenizing their real estate and they want to sell it someday, they want to put in a 5-year buyback or a 5-year ownership transfer to let the token holders know that in 5 years they plan to exchange ownership. But by being able to transfer the title and transfer the corporation that the asset's in, there shouldn't be any issues with the flow of the investment.
Well, you've been a realtor for a long time, and that means you abide by the code of ethics and you're part of local boards and the National Association of Realtors, right? So you and I have these 17 code, I should say, what's the word? 17 provisions in the Code of Ethics. Can you imagine how that would be upended where this is on a platform that's not regulated? I mean, how can a realtor reconcile essentially ignoring the cooperative platform of an MLS to put it on an exchange like the blockchain? Those are completely different.
Well, I think that if the MLS offered, the ability to advertise properties for sale through exchange of a cryptocurrency, or if the MLS offered fractional ownership in a way to where it would be accepting of the blockchain, then real estate agents would embrace it. And maybe this is the MLS's opportunity to say, hey, maybe we should, expand what we're doing here. But if it doesn't exist for the MLS and the real estate agents are still abiding by their code of ethics, it's still an opportunity to serve their client. At the end of the day, we need to serve our clients. That's what's asked for us, first.
I hear that. Where could this be? I mean, now you get me thinking with regard to rentals, where instead of $3,000 a month for rental, what could that do?
Well, I mean, in any rental that you're tokenizing, and let's say that you tokenize your rental property and you just want to do one token. you don't want to have 100,000 tokens, which I mean, you should, because you're going to make more money with the basis points anyway. But through the exchange of the rental contract, let's say that renter purchases the token, and maybe they buy it for a year, maybe they buy it for 6 months. But now they're able to hold a token in real estate, and all of their rental contracts are put into the smart contracts. And then they're the token holder of that property, and with that property comes rights to the property, or with that token comes rights to the property. But really, I mean, tokenize your real estate isn't for that one ownership, right? The token holders make an ROI on the investment. So you can use it as the ability of a timeshare. And I just had a meeting with somebody wanting to build it out for rentals and timeshares. You can do that. And you can have the token as a symbol of their rights to the property. And I think that makes the most sense to us. When we think of a token, we're thinking of, a form of ownership, something physical, but really a token is just a share. And so when you buy a share in Apple, you're not expecting any physical ownership rights of Apple. But for some reason, when we talk about tokenizing real estate, we keep going back to physical ownership of the real estate.
Or
and that's where I went.
Besides the physical ownership, you're also expecting something of a legal document to be recorded to serve as notice to the world. So that's not either. There is nothing.
Well, by us securitizing it, there is. So we're doing both. We're saying, hey, to the traditional outside world, this is a securitized asset, right? You are buying a securitized asset, and in the blockchain world, this is a token. This is an ERC20 token, and all of those security documents and the agreement between you and the property owner is all recorded in the smart contracts on the blockchain. So then when you sell that token or you trade that token, that ownership timeline is now recorded with the new owner. And so in that token, in that line of ownership and the smart contracts, it's all recorded. And it's all maintained there in the token on the blockchain. But right, if you need
but hold on, anyone has access to the county clerk's office and for recorded municipal records, or their town, village, whatever hall. Professionals like lawyers and lenders and title company have access to recorded documents through the sites, whatever recording, whether it's whatever city has their recordings online. But where would a regular person even be able to find the blockchain?
Yeah, we
where's that found? Is that found on Terramint?
You can go on Terramint and you can look up, who owns that token before you buy it. All of it's on there. It's fully transparent. You can see the ownership information of the real estate. You can see the values. You can see the contracts and agreements before you purchase. It's all on there.
Okay, so Terramint, your platform is really a place where you could go. It's an exchange of sorts. So without a proprietary position such as the like that Terramint has, there's really no access except this closely held proprietary, I guess, software. Is that the right way to say it?
It's a technology platform.
Is there any access?
It's completely cloud. But so you have
Sure.
you'd have to
No, I
create
know
an
that, but I'm
account.
saying you have to create an account with Terramint or another such entity.
Well, in order to have access to Terramint tokens for the initial purchase, everybody has to go through the Know Your Customer, anti-money laundering scanning. So you go and create an account, and it verifies your identity. You scan your government document, whether it's a passport or driver's license. They search you in a database, make sure you're not a terrorist, or you're not somebody that the government doesn't want you to be on a monetary platform, right? And then from there, you can say, oh, okay, well, I want to purchase, I want to look at tokens to purchase for hotels or self-storage or verbos or, ranch property. And from there, you can click on the tokens available, the property that's selling tokens and the tokens available, review the contracts, review the ownership, review, those types of things. So in order to review that, you have to go through the system of the Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering, the KYC system. So not just anybody can go and look at all these things, but if you have an interest in purchasing and you create a wallet or an account in Terramint, you can. And I'm sure we do have agreements with our sellers of tokens that if we were to be subpoenaed or required, to divulge any information, we would cooperate, with the government, or with, if there's a lawsuit or something like that, and we're served documents for requesting information, we'll cooperate.
Okay, so those are rules or policies. Are those self-implemented, or are they regulations from a government authority or from any entity? Are those just because because Terramint is playing it safe and doing it the right way?
Yeah. There's no regulation right now on cryptocurrency or blockchain products, and that's one of the biggest problems. Our president did just sign an executive order for the crypto world to be looked into. That just happened. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. So now the government's going to put in a place of looking into the crypto products and regulation that could be put on there. I think it needs to happen. We need to have some sort of guidelines for the masses. Right now I'm not going to say there's a lot of people being scammed, because I don't know of anybody personally that's been scammed. But I would say that the door being open to that is very large. And that's one of the reasons
But at the very least, if there were more safeguards in place, there would be more trust. Right now, there's, people are, you're saying it's the Wild West as a foremost authority, but for people who are unaware, that would be a place. I mean, we're getting to this point where millennials are entering their 40s or are there, and it's, made some income and they're with families, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think there has to be more transparency to this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I joined Terramint, it was like, okay, well, we need to be from the standpoint of a buyer beware. So if I was going to purchase, what would I want? I am very accepting of risk. I can be in a high risk situation and make a calculated decision, and I'm comfortable. But when we're talking about gambling, I'm not a gambler. I'm not somebody that's going to go put 100,000 and bet on red. When I have I have a 50-50 chance of getting red or black. That's not me. And when I'm purchasing real estate or helping somebody through a purchase of real estate, I can not only take their risk tolerance into consideration, but guide them through making a choice that they would have all the information to make a good choice. And so if we're coming at it with a buyer beware standpoint of they need to have all the information to make a decision, and the seller needs to have all the information to know exactly what they're selling, and this has never been done before, now Terramint can launch. Well, we need to abide by regulation. If we weren't a blockchain product, what would that regulation look like? And that's how we moved forward. If somebody was going to buy and sell real estate, what would be the laws or the ethics that we would want to be mindful of? How would we want to be treated? This company is built and designed by Americans. And it's like, if we wanted to buy fractional real estate, if we wanted to buy tokenized real estate, if we wanted to buy property with Bitcoin, what would we want that to look like? Well, we don't want to be screwed over, but we want to have a safe, efficient place to transact in cryptocurrency with real estate. and it needs to happen. It needs to be here. We need to have a safe platform to make it possible. If we go back to some,
what has been the reaction, if any, with banks? I mean, do banks oppose this? Do banks, are they interested in preventing the ushering in of this crypto fueled transactional events?
Well,
are they
I don't know about Chase Bank or Bank of America or Wells Fargo or some of the main, the top 5, lending institutions, but I do know that a lot of the just second generation banks, the mom and pop banks, more the independent lending institutions, on their application, they're asking for cryptocurrency revenue as a form of revenue to qualify for a loan. I don't know of any lending institution right now that is accepting cryptocurrency as a form of payment. But I do know of, lending institutions that are qualifying it as income. And that's a huge step. That's a huge step in the direction.
Right. They're considering it akin. Am I correct in saying they're considering crypto assets along the lines of as they would view a portfolio, as asset-backed portfolio? They are? Wow.
And that's where real estate tokenization comes to. And I've had private meetings. I don't want to name drop right now, but I've had private meetings with several, just independent lending institutions saying, hey, these are securitized real estate tokens. If somebody were to come to you with a portfolio of securitized real estate tokens, would you lend on it? And it's been yes all across the board. No questions asked. Yes, we would lend on that. And so if anybody that wants to invest in asset-backed tokens by real estate, and we're abiding by regulation, they are securitized, they're on the blockchain, they're ERC20 tokens. It has to be know your customer, anti-money laundering, and they're building a portfolio by that. Now they can get a loan on that. And I think that's invaluable. And all of our projects allow 35 unaccredited investors. I don't think they can purchase more than 15% of any one project, but that's huge for unaccredited investors. They just have $10,000 to $100,000 that they want to put into something. Well, now they have a safe place to do it, and they're going to make revenue on it, and they can get a loan on it. And so we're talking about financial freedom to not just independent real estate owners, but also independent real estate investors that just need to start somewhere.
Wow. So how long do you think it'll be before a residential home, one-person landlord would be able to tokenize their property?
Well, we have one already. It's just a matter of distributing the tokens now and really making sure that those smart contracts are 10 and 2 with the investor. So there's a ranch property already available for sale that is tokens available for sale in a residential property.
Regarding due diligence, I mean, I know there's no title company, so to speak, but is there a standard smart contract? Can that be found online, or are they unique to each minting? Am I correct in saying minting smart contract is minted?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
So
we have a template, and it's something that we've designed. So we have a template that we've designed that an owner of real estate can come to us, and our legal counsel that's with the company can help them. It's pretty comprehensive as far as what they want to do and what we're doing, but our attorney on staff does meet with them and go through that due diligence of they understand what they're doing. And then also make sure that they understand that if they own it by themselves at the time of minting, we have to transfer title into that LLC or that corporate entity so that they already have that in place, and the smart contracts are designed with that corporate entity in mind. So let's say that you have your residence and you want to tokenize it, and then you're going to transfer title into, PlugIntro LLC, and then you're going to rent it back from yourself and then give your token holders some ROI, based on your annual rental income, after your expenses are taken out. And it's also part of our guidelines that they're paying off any liens and debts with the capital raise, to where they would own that real estate free and clear.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that point up. Do those liens get paid first? I mean, is the goal to clear title, so to speak? Is that a method to get you closer to be able to sell it in US dollars with lien free? Is that a way?